to the Kristen SuperCrip Milefchik Ringside Report show. I'm here today with Anthony C. Walker, who is an avid MAGA Trump supporter, to ask him some questions about the reasoning behind his love and admiration for 45. Mr. Walker, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here, and I just wanted to quickly say hello to all the patriots and patriotettes that's watching this, and I'd love to start this with the Pledge to Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of Trump and to the Trump for which it stands, one nation under Trump, divisible only by the fake news media, with liberty and justice for all white people. Amen. I think that's how it goes.
Okay, yeah. So, Mr. Walker, you've been riding the Trump train for about 4 years now. How's that working out for you? Is that good as a MAGA?
Tells you what, Trump brought back racism. We couldn't do that before. I mean, libtards there, they were trying to kill Christmas. You know, you couldn't say Merry Christmas. You can say that now. And I mean, people love our racism so much that they're putting up the videos of us and we getting internet famous. And we couldn't do that before, but we can do that now. I mean, we can take over interstates and we can attack the Biden buses. I mean, you never saw that before, did you? It's a great thing. It's just a great thing. And the economy, I mean, I don't have any stocks and I don't know anyone that does, but the stock market is just taking off right now, or so Trump tells me. So I got to believe the economy's doing good, right?
Yeah, so you're benefiting from the stock market. Is that what you're saying? You think you're benefiting from the stock market?
Well, I mean, you know, when stuff is out of stock at the store, that kind of sucks. But I hear that Apple's a pretty big stock, and they're going up with the money, and however that works. And I like their phones, so yeah, I guess like I get the new Apple iPhone. I got one right here, and so I think that stock's working out for me pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I heard that the Trump campaign has now abandoned his rally participants twice now, and some even had to be hospitalized because of freezing temperatures, no transportation available to pick them up when Trump left them stranded. How is this the actions of a compassionate leader to you?
Well, I would like to respond to this in two parts. First, I would say compassion isn't really something for a leader that we want right now. I mean,
okay.
he needs to project strength, right? I mean, he just got over the deadly hoax, the Crayola 19, so he's trying to project that image of strength. So he doesn't really need to be compassionate right now. What he needs is to show everybody to be strong and to not let anything dominate you. And so and that leads into the second part of my answer is
equals weakness. Am I hearing that correctly? Compassion means weakness?
Well, yeah, that's one way of looking at it for sure. I mean, if you want to beat the COVID, the Crayola 19, as no one calls it, then you need to be strong. You need to not let it dominate your life. And that's the same thing with heat stroke in Tampa or hypothermia out in Omaha. And I just did a video about this. I mean, it's not about Trump. This is the Lord's plan. The Lord gave us this president. The Lord brought me to them rallies, and it's the Lord that gave me hypothermia and heat stroke. So he's just testing our resolve. And whatever Trump needs us to do for him, we will do. If he needs me to be stranded for a day and a half with hypothermia, I'll do that for him. If he needs me to get heat stroke, I mean, sure, I woke up to a 300-pound paramedic dude giving me CPR, and that was the best French kiss I ever had. But I mean, I will do whatever he needs me to do. I loves my Trumpy bear. I loves him.
And Mr. Walker, speaking of COVID, is someone in your own family, say a parent or a grandparent, was to contract COVID because you failed to wear a mask because Mr. Trump said he doesn't like them, and it turned out that you were an asymptomatic carrier would you feel any guilt or remorse for that?
Well, I think that's a nasty question. Using all them big words I doesn't understand, like asymptomatic carrier and guilt. I don't know what that means. But I will say this: all these folks that's dying of the Crayola 19, they would have died anyways. And to prove my point, do you know any human that has ever lived forever? No, you don't. People die anyways. So the COVID isn't really killing them. It's being human that's killing these people, right?
Mm,
I mean, think about it.
that's
And,
certainly
and
one
by the
way to
way,
think about
i-
it.
if Papa has to die, well, my inheritance is looking mighty fine. I needs that double wide trailer. He's kind of getting boring anyways in his old age. I mean, he can hardly hear me when I talks to him, and I'm just getting sick of the yelling. So, and changing his diaper, that ain't no fun.
Uh, okay, at the polls right now, it's showing that Joe Biden is actually leading, even in most of the key battleground states. So, what are you going to do with your life if they are correct and your dear leader, Mr. Trump, loses this election?
Well, I don't know what poles you're looking at, whether this is the South Pole or the North Pole, but I doesn't think it matter. I mean, we can't have Sleepy Joe winning this. I mean, if Sleepy Joe or China Joe, whatever you likes to call him, if he wins, the election is rigged. If Trump wins, then the election is legitimate, and we're all in for Trump. But if somehow the election is rigged and Sleepy Joe gets in, well then we got the Civil War on our hands, right? I mean, I'm with the Proud Boys, and he might have said staying back and staying by, or maybe he was talking about getting stranded. Maybe he actually said strand back and strand by, and that's why we was stranded at them rallies. But regardless, if it's a rigged election and Biden wins, we is gonna be coming so hard like we ain't never come before. Okay, you understand that?
Yes, there you have it, folks. More proof that voting for Biden Harris is the smart choice in 2020. All right, so we wanted to start with Anthony C. Walker in his character that he portrays during these parody comedy acts. Anthony, not being a character anymore, can you explain to viewers what made you start doing this form of comedy, the MAGA parody? What inspired that?
I can certainly answer that. I'm just gonna take this hat off really quick.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Much better. Okay, so perhaps maybe you saw this video. It went pretty viral. Do you remember seeing a video in, I believe it was June, somewhere on June 11th? They had tagged it on Twitter. What was it? Officer Karen McMuffin. Did you ever see that?
I think I did. I've watched a lot of your videos, so yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, for anyone watching that doesn't know, Officer Karen McMuffin, as they called her, she posted a video to Twitter where she was, and it was found out later she wasn't actually a cop, by the way. Just putting that out there for anyone that's saying, don't make fun of cops, etc. But she was in some kind of uniform, and she posted a video online where she'd gone through a McDonald's drive-through, and she broke down in tears afterwards because they asked her to pull up to wait to get her food, and then they only brought out a coffee, and I guess the food was going to be a minute or two late, and she broke down and she said, "I can't trust the fact that I'm not watching you make the food." And I specifically remember this day. I was out, and I thought to myself when I was watching it, I'm like, you know what? This alone is pretty funny, but I have a Kevlar vest at home, like not this one. Like she wasn't wearing something like this. She was wearing like a kind of like a cop's vest.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got a Kevlar vest at home. I think I can make another version of hers and just make it like really insane, outlandish. Like take it. I mean, it's already kind of at the extreme, but I think I can take it even more extreme. So I went home and got in my car and I did that. And like I've always been funny my whole life, just cracking jokes here and there. But I never thought that so many people would actually be interested in my work, and I never really had a platform. I mean, I've technically been on Twitter since 2010, but I've really only started using it since March of this year. So we're talking like 8 months now, and in March I had 30 followers. That video got somewhere near 1,800 retweets, and that was my first taste of, wow, okay, people actually like to see my comedy. So I did a couple of more Karen parodies, and then I thought to myself, you know what? These Karens are great, but there's so much more material available with the Trump supporters.
Yeah.
And I'm in Canada, and my brother is actually a Trump supporter. There's a few of them here. I actually, on Friday, my work doesn't really do the whole Halloween thing, but I thought, just to be funny, I'll put on all my Proud Boy stuff and I'll go to work like that. It did not turn out the way I expected. You'd think in Canada, I didn't wear the MAGA hat. No. I went full Proud Boy. I wore a tactical ballistic helmet, like one of the SWAT helmets.
Uh,
And you'd think in Canada, you'd get the response of, okay, shit, we better call the police or something like that. Or, dude, like, what the hell are you doing? No, it was Trump 2020, and wow, that Trump vest is amazing, and I need to get me some of that. And I'm just, I realize there's so many more Trump supporters at my work than I ever thought possible. Yeah, there was one gentleman that I started talking to him and I had to walk away mid-conversation because I couldn't even. When I had mentioned to you about during the first part about anyone that died of COVID would have died anyways, he had said that to me. He said his exact words, everyone that's dying of COVID would have died anyways. And I said to him, you're absolutely right. That one 5-year-old girl in Detroit, she had no chance. She probably would have been hit by a bus next week. And then he changed it and he's like, oh, well, some of them. And it's at that point that I walked away because, one, you're straight up lying to make your own narrative. But two, you're going to twist the death of a 5-year-old girl to fit your narrative.
right.
Like, screw you. So I just walked away at that point.
I appreciate it. I'm in Detroit. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah,
I
that's
didn't.
where I live. And so when that little girl died, that actually shook me up pretty hardcore. I'm in a wheelchair. I have muscular dystrophy. So I'm among those people that, I keep saying over and over again, yes, I have a form of muscular dystrophy. I'm also a type 1 diabetic. But I'm not dying. I'm not dying from either one of those things. And if I were to contract COVID-19 and die, it would be the COVID-19 that killed me, not my muscular dystrophy, not my diabetes, because I've had them my whole life and I'm not dead yet. So obviously they're not killing me, right? So that whole argument is pretty disturbing. I think the cool thing about your comedy is it accomplishes two things at once. You highlight the absurdity of these arguments. I mean, you're using the argument that people that support Trump actually use, but you're doing it in such a blatant, obvious fashion that you see the absurdity of it.
You would think, but and for the most part that's true, but there are so many people on Twitter and maybe we could make a portion of this where I read out some of the comments because I have a few of them bookmarked.
That was one of the things I was going to ask you about is how you feel when people get all mad thinking that you're the real deal.
You know what, to be honest, and I've said this before on Twitter, is people get to laugh at my videos. I can't watch my videos and laugh. I get to watch the comments and laugh. So the people that think it's real, that's my enjoyment out of this. I don't do this like to trick people, but the people that respond without watching the video at all, or even better, they watch the video all the way to the end and they still think it's real. I just find all that to be a little hilarious. There was one gentleman today that, here we go. Just going by his facial features, he appears to have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Neanderthal-shaped eyebrows, sloping forehead, misshapen teeth, difficulty processing from the mammalian brain. Maybe most of these maggots and punk boys are trying to hide their sloping foreheads with the hats. FASD, or very close family members, my 2 cents. That's actually that one there is the most detailed insult that I've ever gotten, because I always get the same 3 insults from people. It's your teeth, your eyebrows, and you're not funny. So this one, at least, we got fetal alcohol syndrome, so that's a new one. But the comments are always basically the same. I did one about my kids were getting facially profiled because they weren't wearing masks for Halloween, and some lady 25 minutes ago was saying, I hope DHS takes these kids away. And I'm like, I'm in Canada and I don't think you watched the video or understood it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it kind of also shows, though, one thing that I've had a really hard time with about the criticisms that are out there from the left of the right is that it's so easy to slip into the petty kind of insults, like what that first comment did. I don't care what a person's eyebrows looks like, or, I mean, that's not saying there are Trump supporters out there that, they look completely, they're not, there's nothing different about them, about the way that they look. And I also think that it's insulting to assume that people that even have some sort of cognitive challenges are automatically, don't have common sense. There's a difference between ignorance and a cognitive ability. I know people that have cognitive challenges that have more common sense than some people with college educations, because they read people and they judge people and more of like what's on the inside, so that's one thing that is a little bit frustrating about our criticisms, I think, of the right. But I also think that your comedy, it accomplishes not only highlighting the absurdities, but it also gives people some much needed relief during this time. If we didn't laugh about some of this stuff, we'd definitely be crying. At least that's how I feel.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's videos like yours that lighten my day when I'm having a really frustrating day. And that brings me to my next question. You've recently spoken out about bullying.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about what inspired that, who inspired that, and just your feelings about the bullying in general?
Yeah, so I got a message a few weeks back from a gentleman that said his daughter had been bullied quite a bit at school for her looks, and had, like, for quite a while, and had been having a very hard time. For the longest time, he hadn't really heard her laughing at all, and then one day he did, which was unusual for her. So he went and checked, and she was watching my comedy, and I mean, that alone was pretty amazing. So I posted a 2-minute video for her. Her name's Eva. She's in Ireland, Northern Ireland. I should specify that because they're not actually the same. I just recently learned when I was speaking to her. I've since video chatted with her. So I posted a video there for her, and she was shocked. And I sent her the link to the thread. Her dad set her up, or she set up a Twitter account, because it was only her dad that was on. I don't know how she was watching me, maybe on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. But she set up a Twitter account, and then I sent her the link to the thread that included my video. So she was reading all the comments, and she was so unbelievably overwhelmed at the support. And then I even took it one step further, and I sell merch on Teespring, and I have a bunch of different lines there, but I made one specifically for her, and all the money from that is going to go to buying her whatever she wants for Christmas. So far, I think I'm at 218 roughly dollars Canadian. It did all right in the start. Haven't really had any sales lately, so I'm hoping maybe some exposure here can get that going again.
Oh, we'll definitely try, that's for sure.
and we're working on a plan to get over there and go meet her and
Awesome.
take her and her family up in a plane. So I have a friend who's he's retired now from the Canadian Air Force, but he still has some perks, you might say. So we're looking at, so he's a water bomber pilot. We're looking at going over there. So we'd go to England, and Northern Ireland is part of the UK. So
Right.
we can appropriate equipment, as he calls it, which basically means take airplanes from the UK and bring her, so fly from Britain to Northern Ireland, take her and her family up for the day, let them actually take the controls for a little bit under our supervision, of course. So he's a certified current pilot. I know how to fly, I'm just not licensed. So that's why I say under our supervision. So hopefully we're going to give them, the time of their lives, and just show her that what these people at school think, especially high school, doesn't really matter. And this was what I said to her in my video, was it's really just a pathetic little popularity contest when you're in high school. And when you look back on it in 5, 10, 15 years, it won't matter one bit.
Yeah.
And I said, and this is my merch line, it's called You Do You. And I said to her, I was there, the same thing happened to me in high school, and I got over it by realizing that what other people think doesn't matter at all. You just have to do what you're comfortable with. And I said, think about this. If I can make you feel good, and I'm not a celebrity, I'm not famous in any way, shape, or form. I'm just a random person thousands of miles away. If I can make you feel good, then what can you do? And I mean, we have a woman right now who is running for vice president, and she used to be that little girl on a bus that was segregated. So for all I know, Eva could end up being the prime minister of the UK in 20, 30, 40 years. So she really can do whatever she wants. And to hell with what everyone thinks. I video chatted with her, and she has some amazing blue hair. And that's what some people are making fun of her for, is the blue hair. And her dad had said,
In this day and
after
age, wow, surprising.
after my video, her dad had said that she had asked to go get it re-dyed, because I guess the color had been fading. She'd actually asked to go get it re-dyed after she saw my video. So I made at least a little bit of an impact there for one person.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it really spoke to me. I did watch that video that you made for Eva, and when you talked about yourself and your own experiences in high school, and sometimes getting made fun of, and it really spoke to me, because there are also a lot of people in the disability community that get made fun of and bullied and everything, and I think that it's really inspiring for people that have something that looks different or seems different about them, see somebody else that they can relate to, and that they feel kind of represents them, and their background and where they're coming from. And you talking about that part of your childhood, I think that really probably connected with a lot of kids. So it was very cool. I've been wondering about this, and I'm sure that it's something that you've been giving thought to too. If what we're all praying for, even if we're not religious, what we're all praying for happens, and Biden here do win this election, what are your plans comedy-wise if Trump goes away?
Well, I would say that one, at least I'm guaranteed work until January 20th. I'm guaranteed work until at least that date. But then afterwards, I don't think that Trump and the entire Trump crime family are going to disappear. Not quietly, anyways. I mean, we have indictments that are waiting for him, SDNY, for example, and there's going to be countless other investigations that are going to be started as soon as, hopefully, President Biden comes in. So there's going to be plenty of work, I think, for the foreseeable future, at least a few months afterwards.
Yeah.
I imagine we're going to have, public trials. I'm really hoping it doesn't turn into a Nixon and Ford situation where there's a pardon. But again, I've even mentioned this on Twitter. Even if there was a presidential pardon for Donald Trump, that only covers federal crimes. It doesn't cover any state crimes. So even if that were to happen, again, we have trials. We have maybe there's going to be leaked documents here and there. Maybe we'll have foreign nationals come out with information from Ukraine or from Russia or from China detailing, business dealings, shady business dealings, investments, maybe payments from while Trump was in power that were, to leverage something, maybe to influence policy. I think there's going to be a lot after Inauguration Day, regardless of how it goes. After Inauguration Day, there's going to be a lot of material to work with. But assuming that Trump did one day disappear in the family quietly, then I think I'd have to try out some clubs. When it's safe to do so, of course. Right now, not really the best time. Many people have said that I should be doing the clubs, but it just isn't really the right time right now with COVID. Unfortunately, I think if there wasn't COVID, I'd probably have a decent audience there because even in Canada, we have a lot of people, like I'm a perfect example, that know what's going on down in the United States. So my material would work up here. Some people are saying up here that I should maybe do stuff about our version of the Republicans, the Conservative Party. I could take my satire on them, but the thing is, the Conservative Party, they have supporters here in Canada, but they don't really match up to MAGA. Like, it's not the same level of absurdity and
I would say that even, here in America, I would say there's a big difference between a Republican and a MAGA, a Republican and a Trump supporter. Obviously, the further right that you go, the more probability that you're also a Trump supporter. But obviously, with the Lincoln Project and Votes for Trump, and there's so many, conservative groups, Republicans against Trump, that are trying to make the point that you don't have to be a Trump supporter and be a Republican. So, but it is hard because I think that there is the party is being redefined right now, and I think they're going to have a hard time going back to try to be legitimate again after this. But I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, it would be great if it was the demise of the GOP, because for years they've been heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
It was the party of Lincoln. It was Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and now we have people flying the Confederate flag. It's like,
right.
How did you stray so far from the path that you were on? What really needs to happen in America is ranked choice voting, because with the all or nothing system, you really only have a choice for two parties, which creates a giant, there's gaps on the sides, there's gaps in the center, there's gaps all over the place. People want to be able to vote green, for example, or independent, but there's no chance of any green or independent president ever with the current system. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think Maine right now has ranked choice voting for, I want to say there's a Senate race going on there with ranked choice voting right now. I think it's Maine, might be Rhode Island. It's somewhere in that area there, which is a great idea. You just write. So, for example, if we're going for president, you could write down Biden as your number one choice. You could write down, I can't remember the independent guy's name. You could put him for your second choice. You could put down Kanye for your third choice. You could put down Trump for your fourth choice. So
Yeah.
And then if whomever's at the top doesn't get enough votes, then yours moves down to the second, third, etc., until they have a winner.
I really wish we didn't have parties at all, personally. I think it would be a lot better if we had to actually pay attention to what the candidates' policy proposals were and vote on the candidate and their ideas, not the party. That would eliminate a lot of the manipulation tactics and the propaganda and all of that. But yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I
There's
know,
too much money in politics for changes like that to happen,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, but I do agree with you about all that. So, do you have any advice that you would like to give to your American viewers at this time, as far as the election goes, as far as voting, and just anything you'd like to tell people?
Well, number one is just make sure that you vote. I mean, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. That's up to you. I'm not going to ask who you're voting for. That's your business. Um, but there's a saying where, what is it? It's something like, if you didn't vote, you don't have an opinion, basically. So, or if you don't vote, you can't complain about who's in power. So this is your chance to kind of make yourself heard. I say kind of because you have the Electoral College, so it's not really, you're not actually voting for president. You're just hoping that the Electoral College will do what you're voting for.
Or,
But if you vote in numbers big enough, too big to manipulate, then your voice will be heard. If I remember correctly, the Electoral College has never voted against a candidate that had more than the 10-point lead. So if all the people's votes are counted and say Biden has more than 10 points on Trump, the Electoral College basically by precedent would have to choose Biden.
yeah, I
The
think
Electoral College, that's a whole
after,
conversation by
I
itself.
think earlier this year too, I think it was this year, that they passed a law saying that the electors could not vote different than the vote of the majority vote of the people in that state, which
Yeah, that's not nationwide if I remember correctly. I think it's only in maybe a handful of states now,
yeah,
which is unfortunate. I mean, the Electoral College is, I mean, that's a whole thing on its own. I remember watching a documentary on that, and I mean, there was actually, I can't remember what name they put down, but it was when one of the electorates was putting in his submission. He was, I mean, it's all just a bunch of, old white people that are sitting around drinking whiskey in their country club, right? And they'd actually written down the name. I wish I could remember what it was, but they had screwed up the spelling of the person's name and mixed up their first and last name, so it was totally backwards and all spelt wrong. And it's like, that's what happens when you trust rich old drunk people with your vote.
right. And the whole idea of it was elitist in the first place. They thought,
Exactly.
yeah,
It was they didn't want the when they were, I mean, it was the elite sitting around thinking, okay, well, we want to placate the people. We want to make them think they're voting for a president, but we can't actually have them voting for president. So we'll have people go out and we'll have them vote just as kind of like symbolism. But we'll actually sit here in our country club. We'll do the actual voting for who that we want to be president.
yeah. I actually was listening to a podcast, a historian talking about strongmen's rise to power, like Mussolini, Hitler, people like that. And he was talking about how, when America was founded, the forefathers actually considered democracy to be one step away from mob rule. And that historically they thought that democracy was destined to fail, which is why we're not a democracy, we're a democratic republic. We are a combination of the two. So, and there's so much room for improvement. I mean, it's been hundreds of years since, the Declaration of Independence was written, and we need to maybe reevaluate some of that. But I think that it's still, though, everybody's got to do whatever it is that's within their power to do. And I know that people feel like they've been betrayed by their government. I certainly have felt that way in recent times, but I also think that, like you said, if we don't do what we are able to do, and that doesn't just include voting, but continuing to push for, the changes that we want to see after, we vote, then we can't really complain about it. So.
Yeah, and if anyone thinks that voting isn't maybe useful, maybe they think it's not enough. I would remind everyone that only a couple of years ago, AOC was a bartender in New York City, and look at where she is now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if you have the right message, if you care about the people, you can take your one individual person, your one individual vote, you can take that all the way to Congress. You could eventually take that, if you have the right message and you care about the people, you could take that to the presidency. I mean, obviously, to get that high up, it takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment. But if you want to affect real change in this country, I mean, that is certainly one path that you can take, and it will definitely do a lot more than just one vote would. So if anyone out there that's listening is thinking about potentially running for any kind of office, absolutely do it.
Yeah.
If you want to help out the people in your community, and it could literally be anything. I mean, mayor, school board trustee, start somewhere if you want to help out the people and try to make real change and just go from there.
Yeah, and despite the drama and everything that we've had these last 4 years, the president is not generally, the most important position that you could have in government. And certainly the legislative branch has a lot of power over, how we live our lives. And our election is not just about the president, it's about Congress, it's about flipping the Senate right now. Very important. And, I've also done interviews with several Democratic candidates running for the House of Representatives in red states right now. And so it's been really refreshing too to see how many really progressive candidates that are out there running in red areas, and all the support that they're getting, like Rob Anderson and Devin Pandy and Natalie Klein. I mean, it's wonderful to see that. So yeah, I would also recommend that people look into who's running, not just for president, look into who's running for Congress right now.
Absolutely. And to your point that sometimes the president isn't the most important person, I would like to remind everyone of Merrick Garland. I mean, he should be a judge right now, and he isn't, simply because, well, Mitch McConnell.
Right.
Sometimes that position can completely harangue the president, and just, I mean, not that it nullifies the president in any way, but definitely limits their ability to do certain things, especially important things like putting a justice on the Supreme Court, which with its, and I get the idea behind the lifetime appointment, but having a lifetime appointment like that, if you get in someone that's willing to do damage to the country, that puts 3 justices on the court, that could screw people over for generations to come.
Absolutely. And I think there should be term limits for everybody, including Supreme Court justices. But yeah, the checks and balances are usually a lot more effective than they've been. We've had kind of a a hijacking of the whole system and the whole system of checks and balances, with Trump appointing his own, you know, people for every executive branch position, including the Department of Justice. So, yeah. But I've kind of gone off on a tangent here.
That's all right.
Is there any questions that I didn't ask you that you wish I would have asked you?
Oh, that's a good question. No, I know. I mean, we've covered a lot here, more than I expected, that's for sure. I would just like to add to the conversation. I love the setup in your room. I'm a giant fan. I think you can see my Star Wars poster back here. It's kind of covered up by my Trump flag. Yeah, this is where I do my videos, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, your room's pretty cool.
Thank you. I feel bad that you actually had to buy those.
Trump flag, $12, so didn't really break the bank. The hat, $10, didn't really break the bank. I mean, it's just cheap China crap, right? So
have the made in China tag on the inside. Yeah.
the hat did, and I took that off because it was itchy. That one there, I don't know, but it said in the Amazon listing it was made in China. So.
Right.
And I actually have a fan. It's not up here. A fan actually bought me, maybe you saw in my video, a fan actually bought me a Trumpy bear. So I have that, and I've been meaning to check to see.
I could not believe, I thought that was a parody. When I saw that commercial for the Trumpy bear thing, we were visiting my husband's father, and he watches a lot of religious TV. And that's when the commercial came on, and I was just like, what? Like, I thought it was some kind of joke.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to be doing a parody of that commercial. So.
Good. Yeah, I can't wait for that. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, that's your one sneak preview of upcoming videos. Oh, actually, no, sorry, I have another sneak. There's another one. I'm putting a video up tomorrow, and it'll make you feel a lot better about everything that's going on. I discovered a new miracle drug called Screw It All, and it'll make you feel a lot better.
Nice. Yeah, can I get first dibs on that? Tell me about it.
You should watch the video first because there's some rare but serious side effects that you should watch out for.
Of course. Okay. Well, it's been really fun, Anthony. Thanks for talking with us. And
Thanks for having me.
I'm really looking forward to all your upcoming videos, and we'll definitely be, broadcasting this and trying to get people to watch more of your stuff. I think you've got a really good future ahead of you in comedy. You've got good stuff.
I certainly hope so. I'm trying to catch up to Brent.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.
You have a good night now.